Good morning, and it is morning. It's just after 10, and welcome back to a chapter a day. It is Tuesday of March the 5th. So we are going into chapter 14 of Exodus. I know I said I would do the recap after, but I just always like to kind of do a quick review before I do any reading. It's a practice that I've had since my teaching. We are in the end of the showdown between Moses and Pharaoh, indirectly between God and Satan. And finally, Pharaoh has decided to let the children of Israel go. So now they are going through the desert. God did not take, remember, they came from Canaan, and that's where they are intending to go back, the land that God promised Abraham in the very beginning. But he's not going to take them back the same route from which they came, because what will happen is that God is saying, and God is so merciful to us. Sometimes we don't even know we are being shown mercy when we don't get some things, or when some things don't work out our way. We are being shown mercy. We have no clue. But God is trying to protect them from discouragement, because if they go back the way they came originally, the Philistines would be there. And the Philistines were known to be a lifelong enemy of Israel. And they would get an encounter with the Philistines that would discourage them, because war would break out between the two sets of people, and they would want to go back to Egypt. They would regret leaving Egypt, and that would be so early for them to want to turn back. They would be so close, and they would want to turn back. So God is going to lead them a different way. And this is how it's going so far. He's given them signs: a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. I mean, amen. If you don't know that God is with you when you see those things, then I don't know. He also gave them instructions as to how the firstborn male is to be dedicated to him, and that is human and beast, and unleavened bread. That because they had to leave Egypt so quickly that their bread was not even able to rise. That unleavened bread is like a sign for a number of days within that month, Abib, I think they call it. And I believe that's when the physical Jews today celebrate their feast of Passover. We have communion because we no longer need a lamb, so we don't have to roast a lamb. Jesus gave us that lamb, which was himself. So that's the lamb to save the entire world. No need for a real lamb or an animal anymore. We have Jesus in place forever. So chapter 14. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, that they turn and encamp before Pi-hahiroth, between Migdol and the sea, over against Baal-Zephon. Before it shall ye encamp by the sea. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, They are entangled in the land, the wilderness has shut them in. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh and upon all his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and of his servants were turned against the people, and they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? And he made ready his chariot, and took his people with him. And he took 600 chosen chariots, and all the chariots of Egypt, and captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued after the children of Israel. And the children of Israel went out with an high hand, but the Egyptians pursued after them all the horses and chariots of Pharaoh and his horsemen and his army, and overtook them by encamping by the sea beside Pi-hahiroth and before Baal-Zephon. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, you shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel, that they go forward. But lift thou up thy rod, and stretch out thine hand over the sea, and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will get me honor upon Pharaoh, and upon all his host, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. And the angel of God, which went before the camp of Israel, removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. And it was a cloud and darkness to them, but it gave light by night to these, so that the one came not near the other all the night. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And the children of Israel went into the midst of the sea upon the dry ground, and the waters were a wall unto them on the right hand and on the left. And the Egyptians pursued and went in after them to the midst of the sea, even all Pharaoh's horses, his chariots, and his horsemen. And it came to pass that in the morning watch the Lord looked unto the host of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and of the cloud, and troubled the host of the Egyptians, and took off their chariot wheels, that they drave them heavily, so that the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fighteth for them against the Egyptians. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch out thine hand over the sea, that the waters may come again upon the Egyptians, upon their chariots, and upon their horsemen. And Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to his strength when the morning appeared. And the Lord overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the host of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. There remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left. Thus the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore. And Israel saw that great work which the Lord did upon the Egyptians, and the people feared the Lord and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. Wow. That's the end of chapter 14. My goodness. Did you see the hand of God on behalf of his people then? He does it still today. We may not see the sea literally part. We deal in the spirit with God today. But it is the same God yesterday, today, and forever. So Pharaoh changed his mind again, it seems. He said, what have I done? Did I really do this? No, let's go get these people. So he's coming after the people. So what God did, he moved the pillar of cloud backward. Instead of being in front of them, he moved it backward so that it blocked the children of Israel and the Egyptians. So they couldn't see what was going on, either side. And he parted the Red Sea. He parted the sea. I'm not going to say Red Sea, because it didn't say red here. He parted the sea, and the children of Israel were able to move on through. and go their way. And then the Egyptians when the cloud moved back, the Egyptians realized, oh my gosh, they're gone. And they realized they're on the other side, and they decided to go after them. But God told Moses, put your hand over again and let the waters come back closed in. And that's exactly what he did. And all the Egyptians drowned. And that was the end of our reading for chapter 14. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. There are two verses here. Verse 13, fear not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. And 14, the Lord shall fight for you and you shall hold your peace. So until our next reading, I pray those be our closing words, and I pray you have an awesome rest of your day. Thank you for viewing.